Do you fancy the idea of living off-grid on a country property but don't like the idea of all the compromises like pooping in a bucket? Fabian and Robin Burder are living proof that with a little bit of intelligence and a lot of application, you can live the dream with all of the modern conveniences in country Australia. Fabian's the kind of guy that drives a tank to work, so don't expect standard out-of-the-box thinking with this one. Let's have a look at his octagonal Fibonacci sequence designed home and get some inspiration and some ideas for your next off-grid build. Fabian, how are you, mate?
G'day, Tim. Well, thanks.
Mate,
yes.
I can't wait to get into this house.
Good.
This is really unique.
Yeah.
And you are a very talented man. Let's go and talk octagonal Fibonacci designed off-grid homes.
Good.
And why they make sense.
Let's go and have a look.
Why a Fibonacci sequenced octagon? Why couldn't you just do a square home?
Why not, Tim? Why not do something a bit more interesting?
And that's the secret behind everything that you do, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're always looking for subtle changes and subtle differences, and you wanted to test yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You want to stretch things a bit.
Now, this is a fairly complex home with a lot of complex corners in it. But you designed this home entirely on CAD first. You built a model of it first.
Yeah.
How long did it take you? I mean, we watch these TV shows where, you know, people get divorced 6 years through the process of building a home and finally it gets finished by their grandchildren. How long did it take you from pouring the slab to finishing off to lock up?
It took us 9 months, Tim. Yeah, so it wasn't quite finished, but we're well and truly in.
So you'd moved in
Yes.
from a bare paddock
Yes.
in 9 months
That's it. Yes.
into a Fibonacci sequenced octagon house that's off-grid.
Yep. Not that difficult, Tim.
It's just planning, isn't it?
Just planning and just do it. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's have a look at some of the planning that you got through.
Yeah, rightio.
The choice of building materials played a big part in that, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
So you poured a slab and you put hydronic heating into the slab to keep the floor nice and warm. That's your main source of heating in this home.
That's heating, yes. Yeah.
And then from that slab, you built up with frames, steel frames that you built yourself in your shed.
Yes, yep.
You just had to get the CAD really right to begin with.
Oh, it absolutely sense because it's such a complicated shape. The CAD makes it possible.
There's a lot of complex corners in this design, aren't there?
Yeah. So you model it and detail it and just build it exactly to the CAD, and it just absolutely works. It's beautiful.
Were there any frames that you had to adjust or modify?
We adjusted one cleat and one hole in the whole frame. So that's not too bad.
Absolutely amazing. Now the walls, mate, the walls are really special. We've got these beautiful rounded corners. They're nice and thick. They've got really good insulative properties. Tell me about what the walls are made of.
The walls are straw bale and they're rendered inside and outside with a lime render.
Okay.
So the magnificent insulation, and because you've got magnificent insulation there, you want to match it elsewhere. So all the windows are double glazed. It's got insulation under the slab, and it's got heaps of insulation in the roof.
Now, because of the design, once again, you could do a lot of this yourself. You actually put all the straw bales together yourself.
I did that,
You just got a professional to do the rendering.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess someone else did the rendering. Yes. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you want to live in a home that looks really nice.
And that was very important. A lot of straw bale homes look a bit rustic. They're okay, but
there's nothing wrong with rustic if you're into rustic. You're not into rustic.
But that's not where we wanted to be. We wanted a contemporary home.
You've also been really careful with the veranda design too, haven't you, Fabian? You've got it wide enough to protect the windows from the sun in summertime.
Yep.
And yet narrow enough to open up the windows to sun in wintertime and get some advantage of all that free heating.
No, we have, and you can see that in wintertime. You get beautiful sun on the floor in there, and you can feel the warmth.
And your aspect out here, you're looking north from the house. So we've got the sun rising in the east over here and setting in the west. And you've got all of that beautiful light right through the main windows of your home.
Yeah, which is just lovely. It's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah. Welcome, Tim. Come and do our home.
Fantastic. Fabian, what an entrance. I mean, your walls having all of these curves, it's just so welcoming as you come in through the door, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Just amazing. Now, there's something really special going on with this wall here, isn't there?
Yeah, these walls...
This is not straw bale.
No, they're the internal walls here are stud walls.
Okay.
But normally you'd put plaster on stud walls and just a flat finish. but it looks a bit odd against render on the outer walls. So we worked out a way of rendering the stud walls.
What did you do to render this stud wall and keep it in fitting with the external walls?
So we put a geofabric plastic mesh inside and outside the walls, and then we rendered that mesh. So every single wall in the house is rendered, which just gives it continuity.
Yeah, you're not seeing one thing outside and then seeing another thing inside. And I imagine they're reasonably easy to clean.
Don't have to clean them. They're fine.
And they're reasonably easy to paint.
Don't paint them. No.
No wonder it only took you 9 months.
Yeah.
So Fabian, one of the other advantages of having this octagon design, which is quite unusual, is that there's not a single square boring room in this home, is there?
No, absolutely not. No.
And you've spent quite a bit of time fitting your life into this octagon, and you were able, because you were designing this home from scratch, to put the walls exactly where you thought they needed to be. Have you had to modify any since you moved in?
No, we haven't. It'll be fairly difficult to do, though.
I can imagine.
But no, it's good.
It's working well.
It's good the way it is, yeah, very good.
So this is the engine room of any house, Fabian, the kitchen, where you spend most of your time. You've got the dining room over there.
Yeah.
And you've got some really complex shapes brought into the building because of this design, haven't you?
Well, this design gives you the opportunity to do things like that. So we get that window up there, which is really interesting, and the shape of the ceilings. And
it's not boring, is it? It sort of brings you out into the environment. You can tell that this home was designed with the place in mind, wasn't it? Now, the kitchen is a great place, Fabian, to talk about the reality of living off-grid. You've been in here now for, about 9 years?
Yeah, 8 years, yes.
And you've been totally off-grid for that whole time. In fact, there's not an electrical connection to this property, is there?
No.
You don't use a very large solar system.
No, it's only...
How big is your solar system?
It's only small. It's only 6.5 kilowatts, but there is no... the place has been designed with no big electrical drains on it.
Right. So explain to me how that works.
Yeah. So the things that run off electricity are just your lighting, your general power, but no big pumps or heating or anything like that.
And in fact, you're utilising the sun for the majority of your heating. Your underfloor heating runs off evacuated solar tubes.
Yeah, a significant part of it, yes. Yeah.
And then you've got a gas backup as well.
Gas backup, yeah.
What made you choose gas?
Well, that allowed us to have a smaller electrical system. If we'd used electrical backup, it would have been a significant system.
Right.
So we had a choice there, and that's the choice we made.
Yeah, so you do consume some gas?
Oh, yes.
But it's not a great amount, is it?
It's not ridiculous, yeah.
And it allows you to have gas cookers in place, a gas oven in place, which people like to cook with.
Yeah, and the thing that makes all that possible is the overall heating efficiency of the house. It holds heat.
Fabian, I can't get over how the unique geometry of this home is just making what is, in your own words, quite a normal 3-bedroom house. Just so unique and so beautifully large in appearance. You've got this beautiful Fibonacci sequenced corridor coming out into your main living area. You've got all of your rooms coming off that in a spiral. No room has the same view outside.
No.
They're all different. They're all different shapes.
Yes, they are.
And you've got this beautiful light filtering into every living part of the house.
Works pretty well, doesn't it?
Incredible. It is absolutely amazing. Now, these stairs here, tell me a little bit about these stairs. You've got a tower here leading up to your central light well in the middle of your home. And you've got this spiral staircase leading down. You designed this yourself as well, out of plate steel.
I did, and I was a bit reticent about building a spiral staircase because I couldn't really work out how to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you came up with a solution.
You think about these things, and this is what we ended up with. So the spiral stairs are made based on a steel frame, and this steel frame is goes up with the stair treads, but is folded at each stair to form the spiral. And that's in 3 sections. It sits on 3 legs there, and then these doors are segmented to follow the stairs around the curve.
So these stairs play an important role in your home. It's not just about access, is it?
So good design shouldn't be just about fun. It should be beautiful. So these stairs give us access to the top, but they're also a pleasure to walk up every day.
So once we come up the stairs, Fabian, we're in the heartbeat of Quantec Design here, aren't we? This is where you do all of your design work, and behind those blinds are the most magnificent views.
Well, it's a fantastic place to work.
So it's not only a home, it's an office, and it's a heartbeat, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Now, Fabian, this looks like a tiny model of your house, but it's not, is it? It's a pump shed.
Yes, Tim, this is our pump shed. And why would you have a boring pump shed, eh?
Fabian, this is a masterclass in how to set up a watering system for your home, isn't it? I mean, not only have we got our firefighting system permanently hooked up and kept in shelter by this unique shed, but in the sump down here, you've got a number of different watering systems.
Yeah. So we've got a system for the house water on this side, and on that side a system for the garden water. The garden water comes from the dam and can go out into sprinklers or up to the tank. And the house system gets pumped up to the tank and gravity feeds back.
So the two systems can swap over and pump to each other, but you've also got a clear firefighting system here. And what I love about this, and there's something to remember here, how many of us have a 1, 2, 3 fire system set up step-by-step sheet on the top of our pump ready to go? And I think this is really, really important. This is something to remember if you remember nothing else from this video.
Very good.
All right, Fabian, let's talk numbers for the nerds.
Rightio, yep.
Your solar power system.
Yep.
It's not extraordinarily large because your house is thermally efficient. Tell me about the panels to begin with.
The panels are 6.5 kVA.
So just 6.5 kVA.
That's all. Yeah.
Runs your house and helps you weld.
We can weld off it, yes, yeah. But there's no big constant draws like pumps. So it's designed around that. Yeah.
Okay. Your battery then, how big's your battery?
Battery's 24 kilowatt hours.
Okay, and that's a gel type battery?
Gel type battery, yeah.
Now, has that ever run out for you?
It runs out occasionally if you get a few cloudy days, so the generator will run for a while, but not a lot by any means.
So it might run for half an hour or so and it's topped up and away it goes.
That sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And I suppose having your generator trip in occasionally keeps your generator running and keeps the battery topped up on your generator and everything running properly.
You do need to do that, yeah.
Even if you had a larger battery and a larger system, you'd still need to run your generator.
You still run your generator, yeah. But at the end of the day, you would not know you're living in an off-grid house. You absolutely wouldn't know.
And being an engineer, you put some electricity demands on this system on the odd occasion, don't you?
Yeah, occasionally. So we can make big draws on it for things like welding, but they're only short term. So this system will cope with that sort of thing.
Now it's just as well you've got enough power, Fabian, because you're getting a bit sick of driving the tank to work on cold mornings.
It is a bit.
So you've got this little Austin project car with a V8 Daimler motor powering it.
Yes.
And you're welding this with some pretty extensive features, all in your shed at home, using your off-grid power. Yeah. And all you've got is 6.5 kVA of power on the panels.
Yeah. It's absolutely stunning, Tim. You come to the end of a day's work and you think all that we've done came from the sun. It's astounding.
I think that's it. You've got to paint it yellow and call it sunny.
Rightio. Sounds good.
So if you think living off-grid is all about pooping in a bucket, think again. With clever design, good materials, and the right strategy, you can live perfectly normally off-grid. Send this video to someone who's still pooping in a bucket, and if you like it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up for more.